before beginning any verse, the prerequisite is always verse 7. Yeah. What was verse 7 that we did last week? Where Rama starts speaking and he says that the only way to get this wisdom, O Lakshmana, is to find that inner guru, to locate that inner guru. And if you are not able to locate it, there is no way to understand these points because they are at a higher Advaita level. They are at Ajatavada level. Yeah. So first is to locate that inner guru. And how will you do that? You take the correct stand of being the witness of the person. I am not this person. I am the witnessing awareness space in which this body mind has arisen right now and is saying that I want to understand this knowledge. And the same thing will repeat before every verse, remember. There needs to be a clear understanding that this is the difference between intellectual reasoning and direct seeing. In intellectual reasoning, there is a focus, a center. In direct seeing, there's that field of observation without a central observer. And if you are not able to establish there, then verse 7 is not happening. And if verse 7 is not happening, you cannot move ahead to any verse. Yeah. So you become very clear. Am I able to establish as the field of observation devoid of the observer? If there is an observer again and again, then you will not be able to get it. Clear? So verse 7 is clear. Verse 8. Rama is still speaking in verse 8. Kriya sharir udbhava hetu ra dhrita priya apriya tau bhavatah sura gina dharme tarau tatra punah sharirakam punah kriya chakra vadiryate bhavah. I'll give you the intellectual reasoning, which is a regular translation, and then we will follow it up with the direct scene from the Ramadrishti book. So the intellectual translation would be, doership is the trigger for the body to arise. And once body arises, there are reactions to the pleasant and to the unpleasant. And then accordingly, if there is pleasant, I do dharma, which is the right action. And if there is unpleasantness, I do adharma, which is the wrong action. And this sows the seed for the next body arising. Thus the wheel of action continues. This is the intellectual translation, literal translation of the Sanskrit words. But how do you see it? Do you really see this? Or are you satisfied with the intellectual translation? Yeah, so how is intellectual reasoning limited? We will see when we understand what the direct seeing of this verse says. And what does the direct seeing say? First part, the body-mind appears. It's like a wave. It rises, it peaks, and it recedes. Do you realize that the body-mind is not constantly there? This person is not constantly there. Now that Ekta brought up the person, suddenly see there is the recognition of the person sitting and writing, attempting to listen and understand. Do you recognize the person arose? Yeah, those who've done a retreat with me will find this very easy because you have done this in your retreat as well. Yeah, the word we learned in the retreat was asmita. So the asmita just arose. And before that, there was no Asmita. Do you recognize that? Yeah? The person just arose. The moment the person arises, it means what? It means there is sensation recognized. Either sensation of consolidation, sensation of heaviness, sensation of the body touching the seat on which it is sitting. There is some kind of sensation that arises. This sensation could be accompanied by maybe a pleasant comfort of getting the knowledge, or an uncomfortable sensation. Maybe there is pain in the body, or the discomfort of not understanding, the discomfort of feeling that, oh, I am not there yet, I don't see the Asmita arise, I didn't recognize the point before which there was no Asmita, and then suddenly there was Asmita, and now again it's gone. So that discomfort, all those sensations get bundled together. Do you recognize it? Yeah. So depending on your situation, if it's a pleasant sensation that has manifested, see, it arose, it peaks, and maybe it is continuing or it has receded. If it is an unpleasant sensation, recognize it is also like a wave. It arises, it peaks, yeah, and either it has receded away or it is continuing. Basically, for the sensation to be manifested, Asmita needed to be recognized first. First, the body, mind, person arose, and then the sensation manifested. Do you recognize this? Is there that clear seeing? If it is not there, it means you did not do verse 7 again properly. You have to take the correct stand of being the field of observation devoid of the observer. Yeah, this needs to be a continuous phenomena. You cannot say, oh, I'll do it only for the session on Sunday, on Saturday, and the rest of the time it's okay, it's not there. No, then Ajatavada is still not for you. You're not ready yet. You're not ripe yet. Clear? So first recognize, did I see it immediately the moment the wave arose? Yes, and did I recognize that the person wave is a prerequisite for the sensation wave? Okay. When the sensation wave arose and receded, there was either an attraction towards that sensation or there is a repulsion. Do I recognize that? An attraction to the pleasantness ensues. Or if in this case it is an unpleasantness, a repulsion to the unpleasantness ensues. Because of that attraction or repulsion, there is this, again, the wave of the person with an additional sense of experiencership. Oh, I'm experiencing a pleasant feeling or I'm experiencing an unpleasant feeling. The experiencership can be clearly distinguished from the person wave. Yeah, the Asmita was the first wave that arose. And then after that, there is the Bhokta wave, the experiencership wave. Yeah, so recognize, do I see this? Do I recognize these waves? Again, warning, if you are not holding on to the field of observation, if you're holding on to the observer and attempting to see these waves as if they are objects of the observer, you will fail. Yeah? Focusing does not work here. The moment there is focus, who's focusing? I has come up. The moment there is I, the whole knowledge falls flat. Yeah? Then you're going back to the intellectual seeing of the verse. That is not what is direct seeing. Direct seeing means holding on to the now, the witnessing awareness field. And when you recognize that, there itself the seeing is there. Oh, this field does not have a central observer, it does not have a central focal point. Then only do you understand direct seeing. Otherwise, direct seeing is not clear yet. Yeah. Only when there is a direct seeing, then do you recognize the asmita arise and fall. Only when you see the asmita, then there is the following bhukta that arises and falls. Yeah. If you're not holding on to the field of the now, the field of awareness, the field of witnessing, then obviously you will not recognize these ways. You will only hold on to words that Ekta is saying. Words are not the seeing. The word is not the seeing. Is this clear? Yeah. It's not about what is said here. It is about seeing it. Yeah? Because that asmita 100% arose the moment I spoke about the body-mind person. In the first sentence itself, there is suddenly the recognition of I am a person sitting in an Advaita session, making notes or listening, whatever you were doing in that first wave of the person. Clear? So asmita is clear, then the bhukta is clear. The person wave is clear, the experiencership is clear. The moment there is that sense of experiencership, there is the story of doership. Why? Experiencership and doership are like a couple. They feed into each other. Here there is only the recognition of an experiencer, the person sitting here and seeing the computer screen or listening to this knowledge. So first the experiencership wave arose and dissolved, and that fed the doership wave. What does the doership wave say here? Oh, this experience happened because of this. Do you see this? It creates a story. And the story is presumed. This is happening because of this. This is not happening because of this. A story of doership is presumed. Does the drama stop there at the story? No. There is a reaction, no? Remember the priya and apriya? If you react to the story that has come up, you are again becoming the observer. You are not at the observation field anymore. Yeah? There is a focus that has come up. There is a focal point that has arisen. Yes, and now I am the doer, I am the experiencer, this is happening to me. All this is reactions. When you give into this reaction, the impression of doership and experiencership gets deposited as memory. Yeah, it gets deposited, and this impression is nothing but like a seed, like the pearls, individual pearls which are threaded together to make a garland. Yeah. The memory threads these together. Every single reaction, huh? Now I explain this so separately, a person wave, then the pleasant sensation wave or the unpleasant sensation wave, then the attraction to the pleasant or the repulsion to the unpleasant, the sense of experiencership, then the sense of doership. I broke it down. But this happens at like light speed. Yeah, and these are very physical, strong sensations, can be recognized. Yes, this recognition of each of these is like recognizing every single pearl that is being threaded into that garland. That is the memory. Yeah? The memory story which is getting embedded now. So impressions of doership and impressions of experiencership, they are threaded together and that is embedded. Remember, each little pearl is like a seed. Seed means what? That which has the potentiality to sprout again. Do you see this? A reaction in the mind does not stop at that single reaction. Even if you tell yourself, I'm going to stop here, this is enough. Again it comes up. Again you stop. Again it comes up. Again you stop. Again it comes up. Do you see this? This is the meaning of that seed sprouting again. Next seed sprouting again. Next seed sprouting again. I explained it very beautifully with pearls threaded together and all. It's not so rosy. Yeah. They are basically thorns threaded together to create a garland of thorns, which are just going to continuously poke at you. Now remember, it's not that only the negative things poke. Any positive thing also that keeps sprouting in memory again and again and again is a poke, is taking me away from the field of observation to the observer. Yeah, it is making me slip. So recognize that there are no roses there, there are only thorns. Is this recognition there? The main recognition here is there is no peace in this world. Not possible. Which means perception, sensation, thought, and feeling cannot deliver any peace to me. It is not possible. Okay? That is the meaning of the memory sprouts that seeds of thought, feeling, sensation, perception when ready. And these sprouts kick in the belief of again being this body, mind person. And move from the field of observation back to a focal central point, the observer. And I'm not the observer anymore. Here I have become the person. I have become the doer. I have become the experiencer. Yes? That's how the body mind person comes back again. Yeah? And this is called the rebirth phenomena. I don't have to wait for the next lifetime, the wheel of action to keep running. No. It's not next lifetime. It's right here, right now, this moment. Again and again, Asmita is born. Again and again, it dies. Again and again, it is born. Again and again, it is dying. It is kicked or it is triggered by doership, experiencership. Doership, experiencership. That is the meaning of verse 8. That is the meaning of the Kriya Chakra, the wheel of rotation. Is this clear? The person wave arises, it triggers the sensations trigger experiencership, the experiencership triggers the story of doership, the doership goes and plants seeds, impressions of doership, the experiencership plants seeds of experiencership. These again sprout, keep coming up, keep coming up, keep coming up, and they move me again from the field of observation to the observer. I move from the periphery to a center. There, the body mind person again reappeared, and that is the rebirth phenomena. Do you see this? That is the main question. Is this your direct seeing? Or are you still getting stuck in the story? He did this to me, she did this to me, this world is bad to me, I am going to change this person like this, and I'm going to change that person like this, and I'm going to transform my world. Are you stuck at that level? If you're stuck at that level, then you do not see. Then you do not see. Yeah. Actual seeing is where I just recognize on the background of now, a wave has arisen, receded. Another wave has arisen, receded. Another wave has arisen, receded. I hold on to the background of the now. I don't jump into grasping of the waves. Clear? Then you become free of the wheel, Kriya Chakra, the wheel of rotation. Verse 8 is clear. There was a recognition of how negative thoughts, negative feelings, as well as positive thoughts, positive feelings keep me away from my centeredness. Yeah. It's not centeredness. It's Ajatavada. Now it's periphery. Yes. Yes. Now you have to stay at the periphery, devoid of a center. The moment there is a center, there is a problem. You're at the wrong place. Right. Yeah. She shared very clearly that it's not just the unpleasantness that overwhelms you and pulls you away, it's the pleasantness also. Are you able to see both of them equally, with equal vision? Yeah, not tilting towards pleasantness, not repulsed by unpleasantness. Is there equal vision of both? That is the main homework for each one of you today. Can I recognize that neither is this unpleasantness something that should be able to overwhelm me, nor the pleasantness should be able to overwhelm me? Can I be equally bland towards both? If I relish the pleasantness, I am going to be swept by the unpleasantness. So, really, if you want to work on something, it's not the unpleasant that you should work on. You should work on the pleasant. Be totally bland about it. I don't care attitude. Do you have the I don't care attitude? Do you have the guts to say, no, I didn't do anything? Yeah, that kind of an attitude. Not taking the credit when it comes. Yeah, that keeps you at a distance from that. If you don't take the credit for whatever good that is happening, then you will not even take the discredit for the negative. Being able to distance yourself equally. This is the true test. So, this week, again and again, attempt to see, can I do this? If my direct seeing has really matured to this level, where I can maintain myself as the field of observation, devoid of a central observer, then I should be able to see everything as bland. You understand bland, right? Not spicy, not sweet, no relish there. Bland. Yeah? Make it bland. Are you able to make it bland? Yeah? Do you see it that way? That, oh, it's not happening to me. It is happening. There are arisings. But it is not happening to me. Do you see it in the moment, not in retrospect? Not after the event. While it is happening, it is not happening to me. That is direct seeing. That's where I have recognized, oh, I am at the periphery. I'm at the periphery. I'm like that spectator sitting on a chair watching a movie. The movie gives me the illusion that it's happening to me. It can try and poke me and evoke tears. It can try to poke me and evoke happiness, joy, the jumpiness that comes out of excitement. It can poke me and make me feel that. It has that ability. But right now in this scene, no, it didn't. Oh, in this scene, it didn't. And then the next scene, it didn't. Oh, it didn't. Where am I? That means I'm holding on to my spectator chair. Means I am at the periphery. I have not jumped into the middle of the story. Are you there yet? Then only has verse 7 become clear. When verse 7 becomes clear, then only you will get to it. Otherwise, you will not get to it. The moment you say, see, oh, I am here, I am not here, then you've still found a center. You're still in Asmita. Yeah, you're still at Advaita level 2 because you're still saying, I am here, I am not here. You're still stuck. Yeah, I am saying no localization, no focal point. There is no observer. There is the recognition of the now, and in that now, there is this overwhelming arising, whatever the arising is. Sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, thought, feeling, sensation. It could be anything. This overwhelming arising is there, but I am not there. I am not there. There is no I. There is no localization. There is no focal point. There is no center. There is only a field of observation, but there is no observer I can locate. That is direct seeing. Now you have been able to establish yourself there. And then it's happening all the time, all the time, all the time. Whatever the arising, it cannot take me away. Whatever it is happening of its own accord. Yeah? That clarity is there, that distance is there. There being no central point. No I.
And maybe there is one more thing. Now, when the person has to interact with someone, something, there is also a feeling that, oh, this is pretense. Now I have to pretend this.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful. The moment there is that focal point suddenly materializing, that center suddenly materializing and attempting to react to this arising, you recognize, oh, this is fake, this is a lie, this is a lie. Again, taking that step beyond and recognizing the arising automatically is happening of the reaction, but I am not reacting, I am not there only. That clarity, that distancing, being at the periphery, holding on to the now instead of holding on to the arisings of the now. That will free you from this rotation, this wheel that we are talking about. Yeah? This rebirth will not happen. Otherwise, rebirth is happening again and again and again. Yeah? No I. That is the key. Absence of the I. That is the key. So, now she gave an example that there was the pleasant arisings and there were the unpleasant arisings. There will be even the person arising coming up, which will be recognized from the periphery. That is the most essential. Do I recognize that? This person arising says I. That is when the revelation comes. The moment there is the I arising, and I am at the periphery, then I recognize this I arising, this person arising is fake. Who recognized that the person arising is fake? That means you were at the periphery, no? If you don't see it as fake, if you become that, yeah, then you're not at the periphery. Now you're at the center. Yeah? This recognition is very important. It has to be in your daily routine with your family member, with your social circle, with your colleague, your boss. When it happens there, that's where the true test is. Yeah? Am I at the periphery? Right now, you're very easily at the periphery. Very easily. Yeah? Because this is the same Advaita session talking about the same thing, what needs to be done. This is not the true test. True test is there when you walk out of that room and interact with the family member. Are you at the periphery or do you become the center? That's when you recognize, oh, the person arising, the I arising is also not me. The I is not me. This needs to be held on to the whole day. Yes, and then again allow it to sleep into your dream in the night, allow it to seep into the deep sleep in the night, and then see it come back in the waking the next day. So this needs to be held on, yeah, through the waking, into the dream, into the deep sleep, back to the waking, back to the dream, and to the deep sleep. And that's how it needs to continue. Yes, so this wheel of recognition is erasing your old wheel of rotation of personhood. It is undoing it, no? Anti-clockwise. That was clockwise. Yeah. This is undoing the personhood that keeps coming up, arising again and again and again and again. Yeah. So erase it. Erase it. And the only way to erase it is simply by being at the periphery, observing that the I that has arisen is not me. It's not me. Recognizing the field of observation devoid of an observer. Very clear? That also needs to be observed. That also needs to be observed from a distance. The thing
It is a fear.
yes, it's a fear. Make it bland. Your problem is you are again jumping in and calling it spicy or sweet. Make it bland. Doesn't matter. I don't care. Doesn't matter. Yeah. Stop relishing in them. Your problem is you relish equally in sadness, in negativity, anger, in fear, as much as you relish the sweetness of pleasantness and goodness, compassion, love. No. Being equally distant from both. Just an arising. Right now, there is an arising of fear. So what? I don't care.
That I don't care, superimposed, and then, oh, should I care? That also superimposed.
Yeah, keep watching. I don't care about this. Should I care also? I don't care. Very simple.
The observer has this question. It says, should the actions be corrected? And can the actions be corrected?
Can the actions be corrected? Then you've not finished your Advaita level 2 well.
Observer has made has that. I do see observer, but the projection, the fears.
Yes, just say the fear. It's only a fear talking. It'll throw out a lot of very good argument points, debate points. But you can see I have seen all this. Projection is projection. It's not in my hands. It's already been projected, whatever is happening. So even this fear that is coming up is a wave that is arising. It's not in my hands. The thought that follows that fear is not in my hands. Then the debate that follows between one side of the mind and the other side, not in my hands. Observe all the nonsense and put all of them in one bucket only. Nonsense. Don't take nonsense seriously. It's so simple. Make it planned. Your problem is you want it to give you something. And who wants something? Who?
Observer.
Means the I. The Asmita is looking for something. It wants something. It says, oh, I should have some validation for my existence. Yeah. Those who've done the retreat know this very clearly. The I keeps looking for validation, keeps looking for validation. Again and again, again and again. It keeps looking for a reassurance. You assure that I am, I exist. That is why you're jumping in and grabbing onto some or the other relish. Even spicy is relish for you. You cannot tolerate the spice, but something, no, something that makes me feel I am. Recognize it. Oh, no jumping in. Go back to the field of observation. Let the I say what it wants to say. I don't care about the I. Yeah. Attempt to make it bland. There is no more relish left there. Clear? This is what we need to work on this week. Very clearly, attempting to make it bland. Attempting to make it bland. You naturally are dispassionate, but you were pretending to be passionate, pretending to be involved. You were pretending to indulge and say, this is mine, I like this, I don't like this. I was pretending. At this level 3, you start recognizing, oh, I am not attached. I'm not attached. I was pretending that this is sweet and I was pretending this is spicy. Doesn't matter, both are equal. This becomes a recognition. It's a direct seeing that the witnessing field, the field of observation, is devoid of the ability to taste sweet and sour, bland, spicy. It cannot taste it. It never had. It only created a subtle thought of taste. It manifested a gross thought of the object providing that particular flavor. And then it pretended to create a story of doership, experiencership with this object. The whole thing is revealed. Oh, all of this was like a can of worms. The moment you open a can, there, like that, a can of worms was released. Oh, now I realize all of it is lies. All of it is lies. A natural recognition of I am naturally detached. Honestly, I am not attached. I was pretending to be attached. I do not love. I pretend to love. I do not hate. I pretend to hate. Yeah? That is the meaning of both becoming bland. Oh, I was just pretending. The moment you acknowledge it, both collapse. Both fall off. When you recognize, oh, the field is untouched. This field was never touched by these stories of like and hate, love and hate, sweet and sour. No, it was never touched. And then just staying there, remaining there, abiding there. That is vairagya automatically seeping in. You don't have to become a vairagi. You cannot become what you already are. I already am that. Yes, only I had covered my eyes. I have to remove that blindfold. That's it. Very simple. Okay. You can very peacefully be sitting on the seat watching the movie where the family member has dragged you to at a distance, unaffected, not bored, not angry, not upset, completely untouched. All arisings are there. They come, they go, they come, they go. Even I is seen as an arising. The person is seen as an arising who's sitting there and watching a movie where he or she was dragged to. Even that thought comes up, no? The I thought saying that. Just watching that also. Recognizing, no, it is not me. That is the real recognition of I am that field without the focal point. There is no center.